You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 3rd day of June, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So that's private, members only, and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not taken your 1-week free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com. At the top of the page, there's a big purple button. You can't miss it. Click it, fill out the form, hit submit. We'll get your indicators up and running today. Your trial will officially begin tomorrow. But don't worry, you'll still get 5 consecutive trading days on the trial. No credit card required. We don't need your mother's maiden name or any of that stuff. And this upcoming weekend won't count against your 5 consecutive trading days. Okay? So, if you haven't taken the trial, I don't know why. Because we got a whole lot of traders that are, after many years of trying and trying and trying, have found profitability. I can't guarantee you that's going to happen for you, but the only way you're going to find out is by taking the trial. Now, when you take the trial, you're not just gaining access to the live training room. What we're going to do is, for the length of your trial, we're going to treat you just like you were a full-fledged member, a passport holder. We're going to give you access to everything so that at the end of the 5 days you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. Now, there's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com and this time scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, about an hour before this broadcast starts, you'll get an email. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop. Maybe this time of year you're even on vacation. But you got the bug and you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy and can't join live, but want to get caught up later. Well, you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that. Just youtube.com/CFRN. Now, not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, if you will, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our little corner of the world, thanks to the power of YouTube, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips, and it kind of lets you know we've been around a minute, or 2, or 3. youtube.com/CFRN. Now, this is our daily schedule for the afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, Michael will join us, give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform for about a half an hour. But right now, we're going to jump into our daily devotional. And we just finished up yesterday our 3-day devotional on what biblical inheritance really is. So we begin a new topic today called more than money. And we'll be on this topic for 6 days. So if you're tuning in today, you're getting in on day 1. Our scripture is Matthew 6, verses 19 through 24. And I'm going to share it with you from the Message translation. Don't hoard treasure down here where it gets eaten by moths and corroded by rust, or worse, stolen by burglars. Stockpile treasure in heaven, where it's safe from moth and rust and burglars. It's obvious, isn't it? The place where your treasure is the place you will most want to be and end up being. Your eyes are windows into your body. If you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a musty cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have. You can't worship 2 gods at once. Loving one God, you'll end up hating the other. Adoration of one feels contempt or feeds contempt for the other. You can't worship both God and money. Not saying there's anything wrong with money, but don't worship it. So a lot of people have this question, especially if you're a relatively new Christian. And maybe even some that have been Christians all their lives. Why does the church want my money? If you've ever found yourself thinking, the church only asks me to give because they want my money, well, you're not alone. After all, it's true that ministries need money to operate and be effective. But that's not why Jesus taught so much on this topic. You know, yesterday I mentioned that My wife and I, back in 2000, had built an orphanage in Uganda. It took a couple years to get it all built and everything done, but it quickly dawned, see, in my mind's eye, if we were to do this wonderful thing to take care of all these childish children, that it would just be easy peasy. But guess what? 700 kids eat a whole lot of food. Yeah. Ministry costs money. Now, here's the good news. If God has truly called you to this ministry, He will provide provision. Jesus spoke more about money and possessions than any other topic, including heaven and hell. He knew that when it comes to winning first place in our hearts, money is God's top competitor. Jesus explained to his followers that you can only serve one master, not two. No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. Money has great propensity to serve as a false god in our lives. We cannot serve the one true living God and the false god of money at the same time. This is why Jesus taught about money and possessions, to protect our heart from this false god. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with money, as long as we remember that it's a tool and that all good gifts come from the Father. If we are to become more like Jesus, then we need to believe God's Word and not only learn to be givers, but to also learn why. Our human nature wants to hang on to our money, but God wants us to be willing to give. As we continue in this devotional over the next 5 days, we'll explore more of what the Bible shares about how to honor God with the way we handle our money. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us to store up treasures in heaven, not on earth. Teach us to serve you with undivided hearts and to see clearly through the light of your truth. May our eyes stay fixed on eternal things, and may you always be our greatest treasure. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Tuesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Bring in some fresh data. Here we go. Currently the Dow is up 166 points. NASDAQ is up 163. That's just shy of 1%. S&P 500 is up 32. The Russell 2000 is up 30, almost 1.5%. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $1.11, trading 63.62 last. That's a gain of 1 3/4%. Gold down $27.20, trading 33.43.40 last. That's a drop of almost 1%. Remember, I told you yesterday, after that huge rally, we should expect about a 50% retracement. So when we go to the charts, we'll see how close we came. And silver off 11 cents, trading 34.58 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei dropped 23 points, Shanghai rose 14, and the Hang Seng gained 354, a little over 1.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 12, the DAX up 160, the CAC up 26. So that gives us a mixed day in Asia. It's a green day for the UK. And at the moment, it's a big green Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. A classic turnaround Tuesday. With that, let's look at the news. You gotta be kidding me. Hang on a second. I gotta fix something. This is live in real time. Nothing's carefully scripted, so sometimes things happen. Let's see if that fixes it. While I'm at it, I'm going to close the studio door. Hang on. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to roll. Sure you all heard about this tragedy over the weekend in Colorado. A suspect arrested following a Sunday attack in Boulder, Colorado, will face federal hate crime charges, announced yesterday. The attack, carried out with Molotov cocktails and a makeshift flamethrower, left 12 people injured. The suspect was also charged with multiple counts of attempted first-degree murder after deliberation and attempted first-degree murder with extreme indifference. This man, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, 45 years old, allegedly targeted a local Run for Their Lives event, a weekly demonstration held in cities around the world to advocate for the release of Israeli hostages still held by Hamas in Gaza. According to accounts, he threw 2 homemade firebombs into the crowd before approaching with a weed sprayer filled with flammable gas. Officials said Solomon, living in the U.S. illegally on an expired visa since early 2023, confessed to deliberately targeting the event in support of Palestinians in Gaza. He literally set Jews on fire. The attack comes about 2 weeks after 2 Israeli embassy aides were shot and killed following an event in D.C. Spinning the globe, South Korea will hold a snap presidential election today, following the ousting of President Yoon Suk Yeol after his brief martial law declaration in December. Yoon's decree, which suspended parliament and targeted opposition lawmakers, led to a standoff at the National Assembly, mass protests, and his removal from office in April. More than 44 million people are eligible to vote today, with the main contenders being liberal Lee Jae-myung, a former human rights lawyer and leader of the Democratic Party there, and conservative Kim Moon-soo of the ruling People Power Party. Lee, who narrowly lost to Yoon in 2022, currently leads in the polls, boosted by his role in resisting the martial law order and advocating stronger democratic safeguards. Top priorities included restoring public trust in a divided country, managing relations with North Korea and China, and navigating U.S. tariffs, which could impact South Korean exports with rates up to 25% if a temporary pause expires July 9th. The winner will take office immediately, skipping the usual transition period, and serve a single 5-year term. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm rooting for Kim Moon-soo. I'll let you know tomorrow what happens. Now, if you live on the East Coast, you need to listen up. A cloud of Saharan dust, roughly the size of the continental U.S., is expected to reach the U.S. Gulf Coast midweek after traveling more than 5,000 miles across the Atlantic from North Africa. The event is considered the biggest of its kind this year and marks the start of the annual dust plume season, a natural phenomenon in which wind and tropical waves blow dry, dusty air from the Saharan desert westward across the Atlantic Ocean between April and October. The massive dust cloud, known as the Saharan air layer, hangs between 5,000 and 20,000 feet above the Earth's surface and can suppress storm and hurricane formation by making the air less moist. The dust has reached the Caribbean and Puerto Rico so far. It is expected to thin by the time it reaches Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, though affected areas will see reduced visibility, hazy orange or reddish skies, and diminished air quality. The plume's U.S. arrival is expected to last into the weekend. Now, as most of you know, I live in the desert, Phoenix, Arizona, and we have here what we call haboobs, and it usually happens in our monsoon season. And I'm telling you, seeing one of those things coming at you is pretty scary. And you don't want to get caught out on the roads when one blows through. And you can see it coming for miles, so you always have plenty of time to take cover. And it doesn't have the same effect as like a tornado or something, although it looks a lot like a tornado. It's just a little dirt devil starts swirling somewhere, and if the conditions are just right, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger, and pretty soon everybody's running for cover. Remember that word, haboob. I'll let you know when we get our first one this year, if we get one. Last year we had a very mild monsoon season. All right, let's go to Wall Street news. Oh boy, heads are exploding on the left side of the aisle. Job openings unexpectedly rose in the first month that a wide swath of President Trump's tariffs went into effect. They're going, this is not possible. This can't happen. Yeah, well, it did. After hovering near a 4-year low in March, thanks, Joe, new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics today showed 7.39 million jobs open at the end of April, an increase from the 7.2 million seen the month prior. The data comes as investors closely watch for signs that economic growth may be slowing further. You see, we've gotten all this good news. Inflation's down, jobs are up, economy's getting strong. Foreign countries are investing in America. But these pessimists, this legacy media, then we'll find a new news feed. One that's fair and balanced. Are President Donald Trump's global tariffs of vast economic and political significance? The answer could make or break the administration's chance to keep the president's Liberation Day tariffs in force as legal challengers try to undo them, especially if the dispute eventually reaches the Supreme Court. The nation's highest court has made it clear in recent years that it is willing to apply a test known as the Major Questions Doctrine to rein in the executive branch from usurping power vested in Congress. That doctrine, solidified with the help of Trump's hand-picked conservative judges, limits the authority of federal agencies to take action on issues of vast economic and political significance, except where Congress has explicitly authorized the action. It got a formal nod from the High Court in two cases that were decided against President Biden during his time in office. And now it could become a hurdle for the current president if the current lower court fight over Trump's duties reaches the Supreme Court as expected. Write your senator, write your congressman, and tell them that what the man is doing, despite all the lies you hear in liberal media. Bono was on TV yesterday. Oh yeah, Trump's cuts to Social Security and Medicare, 300,000 people have already died. And on a forum that I participate in, I said, show me the receipts. Show me one. Crickets. They just lie and don't care. And well, the problem is, the legacy media is what most people on the left side of the aisle hear. They don't ever hear the truth. All right, moving on. Constellation Energy stock, CEG, soared 7% in early trading today after the nuclear power company announced it had signed a 20-year agreement with Meta. Yeah, that's Facebook. As the social media giant's energy demands soar due to its AI data center expansion. Shares of Constellation Energy were already up 27% for the month after the company said in its first quarter earnings report in early May that it was making tremendous progress on new power agreements. The Trump administration passed executive orders aiming to expand U.S. nuclear energy capacity later that month. Go Constellation. Are you a McDonald's fan? Well, then it might be good news for you. McDonald's is bringing the snack wrap back to its menu for the first time since 2016. The move is a bid to get consumers to return to restaurants as McDonald's works to stem a decline in same-store sales at its U.S. restaurants. The fast food giant needs to reverse its recent sales slump as low-income consumers pull back due to heightened anxiety and after an E. coli outbreak that began in October 2024. Now, let me tell you why people aren't going to McDonald's. It's pretty simple. McDonald's was, as a young man, it was my go-to. Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. I could live on that. I never ate breakfast, but lunch, dinner, every day. It was my go-to place. It isn't any longer, but I did happen to go there a few months ago because I got caught out hungry, and the only place around was McDonald's and Chipotle, and I think Chipotle tastes like cardboard. So I pulled up to the drive-in menu, and the number one, which is the Big Mac, the fries, and the Coke, $10. $10. I paid it, but I haven't been back. That, McDonald's, is your problem. Automakers led by Ford saw a big sales gain in May as price cuts and shedding inventories blunted the effect of President Trump's auto tariffs. Question is how long they can maintain pricing in lieu of trade deals which have been elusive. Well, the left would get their foot off Trump's neck. Maybe he could get the job done that the American people elected him to do. Oh no. They want to stop him at every hook and turn, and even get rock stars like Bono to lie on TV. Palantir Technologies, PLTR, has succeeded where most tech stocks have struggled this year, staying hot in a cooling market. Cooling market? When we go to the charts in a few minutes and we look at the daily chart of the S&P, you tell me if that looks like a cooling market, okay? The company's military-grade AI tools, along with its deep defense ties and high-level government connections at a time when the U.S. is boosting spending on defense software, have helped investors raise their bets on the stock. And from Bloomberg, President Trump attacked Paul as crazy this morning as he pressed reluctant Republican senators to move forward swiftly with his massive tax and spending package. This will be the largest tax cut in the history of America. Now, if you're Bill Gates or Elon Musk, you don't care how much tax you got to pay. You got more money you can ever spend. But for the hard-working, middle-class American, earning a living every day by the sweat of his brow or her brow, it matters. It matters a lot. Write your congressman. Call them. Go sit in their office and tell them you're not leaving till you get a meeting. It's your right. Warner Music Group shares fell on word the big music distributor was one of the three firms negotiating with artificial intelligence startups to monetize AI use of its music catalog. The Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg reported that Warner Music, along with Universal Music and Sony Group, are discussing licensing details with Suno and Udio to receive compensation when music by artists they represent is used to train generative AI models and produce new music. Now, the record companies, maybe they don't like it, but I think the artist, it's just another stream of revenue. People are going to do it anyway. Why not get paid for it? I was like in the old days of radio. You know, record companies would, under the table, pay disc jockeys to play certain songs. It's called payola. And it was deemed illegal. And they had to become a little more clever with how they did it. But that's history. Let's move on to our local news, which compared to the global news might bring a smile to your face. Logic 247, our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, silver. And we're in week 357, and over the last 357 weeks, we've issued, as of this morning, 19,802 alerts, I believe. So now we're less than 200 logic alerts before we hit that big 20,000 round number. Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. I issued quite a few alerts after that, so this afternoon she'll update the recap as she does. But at the time she did the recap, Since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, I had issued a total of 37 alerts. We were still waiting on the outcome of 12. That gave us 25 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 4% would have been stopped out based on market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, over the last 357 weeks and over 19,800 alerts, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, yes, you can trade them, but please make sure that you use the logic alerts as they're delivered live in real time, long before they trigger, okay, to learn how to read the chart. Whatever career path you choose, you're going to have to be able to read the textbooks or whatever goes along with that job, right? I mean, that's just common sense. But if you choose to be a trader as your career, you got to learn to read a chart. And that's a completely different language. There are no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. If you're going to be a trader, you got to be able to read the chart. And let me tell you something. I struggled a long time to learn Spanish and never really did quite nail it. I can say bueno and baño and taco. But learning the language of reading the charts, I kind of learned it myself over the years, but it took a lot of time and it was at times a painful experience. So you've been provided with a shortcut to learning how to read the chart. Please take advantage of it. Okay. Now, 357 weeks, that's a mighty long time. But years, and I mean years, before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report, usually 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. So we're in the Tuesday session, but the Tuesday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So 5 minutes before the open, all of our members and all of our trial members had all of these targets. This is the S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, as we go through the charts of these individual markets, just remember that the targets you see on the screen, all of our people, all of our traders had them 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay? All right. So with that, we can now go to the charts. And here we start with our daily chart of the S&P. And I'm man enough to admit, maybe I was wrong, okay? I said yesterday and again this morning that I thought this was a head fake or bull trap. Now, the last time we ran up, okay, right here, at this point, that's where we got our pullback to the BBC. And then there was some news released one night, some tariff claptrap. The market ran up and then just as quickly ran back down. But now it looks like we're going to challenge this pretty big double top. And if we overcome it, our next obstacle is this double top right here, and then this bearish cross right here. A bearish cross is when the red line gets below the green line. When that happens, we expect lower prices. But when price gets above the green line, like it did on April 24th, we expect higher prices. The green line is called the BBC. It stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we expect higher prices. Pretty simple, right? Now, institutional traders, the ones who actually move price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Why? It has everything to do with account size. So I encourage you, take this 30-day test. Whatever it is you trade, stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, spend 2 minutes with a daily chart before you drop to your smaller time frame and actually start trading. It's going to do two things for you. Number one, you get a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets that move price. Now, since early this morning, I don't think you want to be a seller. Now, if you're just clipping your goal for the day, that's one thing. But if you're looking for a bigger move, you need see on your smaller time frame, you don't know that this potential resistance is looming overhead right here. Nor do you know where major support is right here. So, by just spending 2 minutes with the daily chart, you not only see what the deep pockets are doing, you're able to identify where major areas of resistance and support are that you can't see on that smaller time frame. Try for 30 days, 2 minutes a day for 30 days. I don't think you'll ever go back. Okay. All alerts, the Logic 247 and the Concierge trade alerts, they're all created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's the time frame I chose years ago. And they say if it's not broke, better leave it alone. So that's what I did. Now these vertical lines separate today, Tuesday, from Monday. Back over here is Friday. Back here is Thursday. These lines are the weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Now, only one of three things happens when price encounters a zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, it's rejection. And 10% of the time, the slice. Okay? Now, when I see a good example of the slice, I'll show you. These are this week's weekly trading zones that came out yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Okay? Now, this was the opening candle last night. But remember, our members had these targets 5 minutes before the open. The opening 30-minute candle came down to the zone, and what did it do? Consolidated. Then we had red and falling overhead. So that took us below the BBC. We didn't get all the way to the short target. The low, really right here. You see this little blip right here? That's an important price, important area. I was looking for price to get down to this little shelf, but support came in at this little shelf. Okay. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. So off we go. Red and falling turns to blue and climbing. One's bearish, the other bullish. Up we go to the weekly trading zone and we consolidate for an hour and a half. Then comes the Wall Street Open. And we make a run almost all the way to the long target. And we just as quickly backtrack. And then the 10 o'clock news came out, which is good news whether the legacy media wants to admit it or not. Sent us, boom, right up through the target. Now, this one candle right here opened at 59.45 and ran up to, well, 57, but then it kept going. So let's say 45 to 57, that's 12 points in that one 30-minute candle. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. And you could have kept riding this, but you'd have probably tightened up your stop and gotten stopped out in this area because of the zone. But now we've overcome the zone. And it's Tuesday, and we only got one more zone overhead. That's fine. We've published the zones for this at the end of on June 9th. It'll make 15 and a half years that we've published these zones every week for our members. And probably more than anything else, our members have told me that they couldn't imagine trading without the benefit of the zones. So we're getting a little pushback right here. Let's see if there's anything we can contribute it to. Oh my, a bearish cross. You see, when you have a bearish cross, red line gets below the green line that leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Okay, now keep in mind it's an area, right? So we're having some trouble getting through there. We'll see if it stops us in our tracks, or if institutional buyers are confident enough to keep pushing this up a mountain. Oh, jump back to the daily chart for a minute. Now, starting, well, right here, see, we're in a downtrend. Leg retracement, leg retracement. See how the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't? But we know eventually it'll trade through, okay, like it did here and here. But the pullback holds more often than not. Now, does this look like a market in peril? Even though I've been saying head fake, potential bull trap, and I may end up being proven right. But from here to here, from 5,200 up to 59.93, yeah, that's not a weak market. Okay, so moving on. Here's the Dow. Here's the opening candle last night. Oh, and look at this bearish cross yesterday. Price tried and tried and tried and tried to get through it. Found support at the zone. And then finally going into the close, we caught a rally and finally broke through. So it's the first time up that we expect that to be good resistance. But remember, these are 30-minute candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts to get through that area. Finally, on the 7th try, it pushed through. It's a powerful tool. Make sure you're using it. So we opened, got below blue and climbing. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance because it's probably on its way to becoming red and falling. So Red and falling walked us down to the BBC and the zone where the market found support. That's what we expect until proven otherwise. And right here, it hit the short target and found support off this little shelf right here. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. We got a leg and a retracement. Pull back held. And then we just kept going. And now we've got, no, we still got 2 zones left on the Dow overhead. Now you got a little double top right here. And look at the horizontal line on my cursor. Now this is Tuesday, Monday, Friday. We're getting resistance from the bearish cross last Thursday. And you might say, well, that's easy to say after the fact. Well, this is about as close to real time as you can get. And you should have been expecting it, okay? People always go, how far left do I have to look? As far as it takes. Nailed it. You with me? All right. So, now that we've stalled out, look at what's happening with the black step line. It's starting to lean to the right. If on the way up, the step line is on the left side of blue and climbing. But once that step line crosses over to the right side of blue and climbing, then you should expect a retracement back to the BBC. Does it happen every time? No, but it sure happens more often than it doesn't. The Russell. Here's where we opened last night, right below the zone and the BBC. Took us, right below the zone and blue and climbing, which turned to red and falling. We consolidated at the BBC for an hour and a half or so, and then we dropped right to the short target. And we actually hit the zone. Support, support, support. Then we spiked it a little bit. That was off the London Open. But buyers came in, got us back above the BBC, took us all the way to the long target. Then we got a retracement back to the BBC, and it held, and it held, and now look where we are. And what are we approaching? We haven't got there yet, but you better be ready when we do, if we do, okay? Hit the short target, hit the long target. Now see, this is simple stuff that you can learn, okay? This isn't some complicated thing. You don't got to go to college for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. You can learn this in relatively short order if you apply yourself. You got to show up every day. You got to do the work. Got to ask the questions, okay? Here's the open last night with blue and climbing overhead. We think it's going to turn to red and falling, and it does. And it takes us down to the BBC. Consolidation. And then we dipped a little bit lower. Okay. Right into this area right here. Buyers came in and just set the NQ all the way up. Looks like we just might be cracking that bearish cross. We've actually traded above that area. Now the question is, will we hold above it? There's still 5 minutes left in the life of this 30-minute candle. Let's see what happens with the next candle. Okay? But, I mean, just to give you an idea. Well, down here, I don't know. Let's say 21,500 to 21,624. That's 124 points. Well, let's just call it 100 points. At $20 a point, that's $2,000 per contract traded. Is it not? It is. Now it's starting to backpedal just a little bit. So we'll check on it again before the end of the broadcast. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night. Just consolidated sideways, but once blue and climbing turned to red and falling, we took a little dip. Buyers popped us back up. See these wicks sticking up like this? That tells you lower prices are coming. And we found support at the zone. Support sends us looking for resistance. And where do we find it? At yesterday's high. That, my friend, is market structure. And when we hit that resistance area, we started to consolidate. Now look what's happening. The black step line is crossing to the right side of blue and climbing. So if I were you, I would anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. Then if the pullback holds, like this one did, then you think about another long trade back up to this double top. Fair enough. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Yes, we had a short target down here based off this low from yesterday. But we know that as price is on its way to any target, there will almost always be obstacles that have to be overcome. And the main obstacle here was the weekly trading zone, 6260/65. So we had one little candle that could have been a little head fake right there for somebody. What did it open at? It opened at, come on. It opened at 6240. No, it didn't. It opened at 6250 and dropped to 6240. Goal for the day. All right, we're all the way to goal. We'll pick up with goal when I come back. But Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform. I'll come back, finish my recap, and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Did I take the charts?
Yep. And your screens look good.
Excellent. Here we go. Yeah, well, I'll get into that later. But for right now, let's do this. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 3rd day of June, 2025. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiu.com. Click on this purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It will bring you to this registration page where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down here at the bottom, gives you TradingView platform ID down here. All right, if you don't have one, click on this link right here. The essential level will get you up to 2 charts at once. Once you have your user ID and username, provide it to us so we can enable the indicators for you. All right. Now, I made that mandatory, so you can't. I think I made it mandatory. I don't know. But anyway, you should have to do that. Give us the TradingView login ID. All right. If you're going to take the trial, get the TradingView stuff so you can keep up with us. All right. Today we had a pretty good day in the room, meaning we got our goal for the day on the very first trade in the very first minute. We got up to $1,000 a contract. I'm sorry, not $1,000 a contract, $100 a contract, $1,000 total with 10 contracts, which is the goal for the day, right? And we took a total of 24 trades, and in those 24 trades, we stopped out a couple times on the NQ and once on gold. And even though we stopped out a couple times on the NQ, we're still up 23 ticks. And on the Russell, we're up 25. On the golds, we ended up being plus 11, and on the ES plus 35. So we're at $787.50 this morning. And as I said, today took a minute and one trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, with 10 contracts, we're up $1,000, and we took a total of 24 trades. So on the month now, we're at $1,862 over 2 business days, averaging $931 per contract per morning session. On the year now, we're at $127,455. That is over 93 business days, averaging $1,370 per contract per 2-hour business day. All right, following the 24-20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day so far this month, well, so far this year, on the year, you would have only had to work 11.9 hours, and you would be averaging $3,938 per hour for those hours. You'd be at 6 contracts right now. So for with 10 contracts on, you'd be up 225.50, but with 6 contracts on so far in the 2 days we worked so far, in the 4 minutes we worked so far, you would be up $1,350. Okay, on this month. All right. Wow, that was a lot of words. Now, let's go here and take a look at the trades that we did take. We'll just start out with gold and work our way across. All right. Now, our last trade on gold was the stop out right here. But prior to that, we had nothing right at the open. We didn't take any trades there at the open. Then we had a break even, 949. Another break even right in here. Another break even right there. So I had 3 break evens on gold. Wow, I didn't realize it. And then we finally picked up some ground here. It looks like we got 12 ticks on that first trade, and then 2 more to get us to 14 on the next one. And then 6 more to get us to 20. And then somewhere in there, we had another 6 to get us up to 26. And then we stopped out. That put us down to 11. That's where we ended on the gold for the morning. So you can see during the break from 11:30 to now, not a whole lot happening here with gold. There were some decent trades. So there was a trade here that you could have taken, a trade there you could have taken. This would have been 100% retracement of this last one. Now, you couldn't have taken this one right here because this one didn't make it all the way down to the oversold. You would have taken profit on that, but you couldn't take the follow-up trade. You could have taken this right here, right in here. You could have taken it, well, on the down close, I guess you could have taken it right there. And it would have been just enough to get you stopped to break even, and then it flips sides. So right now I'd be looking for a pullback to right about here. Right about there is what you'd be looking for a pullback to. It's obviously not happening right here, so you're going to have to get a flat spot down here. All right. That's what I'd be looking for on a gold. Now, the Russell. Oops. Didn't mean that. On the Russell, let's go back to the beginning on this. And here it is. So we didn't have a lot of trades here on the Russell today, actually, just a couple. We have the first one right here. We've got 10 ticks on that one. And the next one over here, we got 15 ticks on that one. That puts it at 25, and then we had a break even right at the end. Right at the end of the morning session, we had a break even. During the break, it really didn't give you a whole lot to work with in here. After you did the first one right here, after you did the first one of these trades, you would have gotten a little bit of profit on that and pulled back down here. This would have been just about 100% retracement. So you might have wanted to do that one for 100% retracement, or the up close right here, which is 50% retracement, because now you're working with this leg length. Okay, and then it just got choppy after that. You could have been aggressive, taking the open of that bar, and then it broke out of the chop a little bit, pulled back down. This is 50% retracement of that, so you could have taken that one right there. Another 50% retracement right here. Now, you could have been aggressive on that, and I probably would have been aggressive on that. If you draw this up right here, where it went into the oversold, this down close right here, where it went into the oversold was the spot to get aggressive. I probably would have done that, and it would have stopped me out if I'd have done that one. But you did have 3 winning trades right before that. Okay, and that was the Russell today. All right, on to the ES. So on the ES, here we are. Right here, our first trade on the ES was way back here. We got 8 ticks profit. That's where we got the goal for the very first trade right there, right at the open. Took less than a minute. 9:27:24. We started at 9:27. So we got our 8 ticks on that one, got the goal for the day. Then we got a break even on that. Then we had another 8 ticks there to get us to 16. Then we had another 8 ticks over here to get us to 24. Then we had 5 ticks to get us to 29. And then 2 ticks to get us to 31. And somewhere in there we had 4 ticks. I think this was 4 ticks. Somewhere in there we had 2 ticks to get us to 31. And then we had 4 ticks here to get us to 35. And that is where we ended it. Now, Dwayne, I'm sure, has gone over all this with you already, but you see how we're just running. This is the high of the day right here. We're running into the high of the day again. And what I was calling for was this number up here, 6,000 by the end of the session. You see this black line? I drew that in. So 59.95.50 is what I had drawn in based on this information here that I had kind of loosely drawn earlier today. I'm sure Dwayne's probably giving you all the same information because we are in sync. And though his stuff is much more detailed with the bigger picture stuff, I'm just giving you areas, and he'll give you more specific information with that. But anyway, yeah, right through here on the ES during the break, it started right here at 11. So the first opportunity would have been right here. You had from here to here. So your pullback area would have been like right down here. This would have been the pullback area I would have been looking for, is right down here. Okay, let me draw that for you so you can see it. From where it went out of the oversold to where it went back into the oversold. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Where it went out of the oversold to where it went back into the oversold. The high and low in between there. So that's what I was talking about. Right here is your pullback spot. So this would have been the one I would have been more interested in, more so than this one right here. That just barely got out there, got down there, but this one got down there and came out of it right there. Once it did come out, it worked okay. It came back down, gave you a pretty good entry point right here. If you do this, it gives you a pretty good entry point right there. Okay. Then the next one, give you a pretty good entry point right there. Okay. And then the last one, give you a pretty good entry point right there. You guys see that, right? The stair step all the way up. It drags it out sometimes, but it still gives you the good entry point in there. Checking to see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions. I wanted to see who is in here right now. James F. Joseph. All right. It's all good stuff. All right, so yeah, all that. Now let me well, that was it on the ES this morning. So we ended up with, this morning we ended up with 35 ticks on the ES, okay? The NQ, or back and forth on the NQ all morning. We started out right here. We had a nice 75 tick trade to start out the morning on the NQ. And then we stopped out on the very next one, put us down to plus 15. Then we worked our way back up from 15, we went up to 43 there, and then we went up to 83 there. And then we stopped out again right there, and that put us down to 23. After that, let's just look at from where we closed up this morning, right here. Now, I waited for a little while at the end of the room. I was hoping to get another trade off, but it took too long for this all to develop in here. And if it would have developed, I would have taken a trade right here. I might have taken a little profit as it moved up right there. That's about 20 ticks right there. Might have taken a little profit as it moved up right there, but there's a good chance I would have gotten just like 4 ticks out of that if I'd waited around. But it did go from the oversold up into the overbought and then pulled back down into the oversold again. So you'd be looking for an opportunity right in here. Now, when it goes from here to here, you have to take this and go to the high and low within that range. So you're just looking at this little tiny bit right here. Now, when it's that tight, you have to be aggressive, okay? And when I say aggressive, I mean, if you go here, Eric, if you go here and you go to trade rules, there are different types of trades, right? The most aggressive, which has 2 lines down here in the oscillators, the aggressive with the trend, which I'm going to show you right now, and the conservative with the trend, which is what I do a lot. I do these 2 and 3 almost all the time. Okay, if you don't see another line down here, then I'm not doing number 1. But when it gets choppy like this, when it goes into the oversold, you buy the open of the next bar. All right, when it goes into the oversold, you buy the open of the next bar. When it goes into the oversold, you buy the open of the next bar. All right, we're out of the chop right here, but when it's choppy like that right in here, that's when you use that kind of technique. Once it breaks out of that chop like this one did right here, you wouldn't use that technique anymore. Then you could use it. You could use it if you had yeah, I don't have any time tomorrow, Bart. Right in here, you could use it right in here because you have a 50% retracement right there. This is the leg length right here. So you could be aggressive. That's what I would do. I would do that trade every time, really. If you have an opportunity to enter on right here where it goes into the oversold at the 50%, you enter right there and you're good. I would do that trade every time. That's the aggressive trade right there that I would do. Bart, just follow that video again. All right, I don't know how you turn your charts into that, but follow the video again. You can always just go out here. Right, you can always go out here to trade rules, the trade rules page, and click on this. Click on that right there. It's going to open up another chart that has everything that I have on my charts right now. Everything that I have on my charts. All right, all I have to do is double left click over here in price, and it's going to bring everything up. All right, that's all you have to do. Go here to mytradingiq.com/trade rules and click on this. Okay. That's all you have to do. All right. So that is how the NQ ended up working out. There was right here, I would take that trade every time. Okay. As long as I see it, I would take it every time. But this one here was pretty close to the same trade. It was breaking out of the chop in here though. So you would have been going long from probably down in here somewhere. But once it broke out of the chop, this is what your trend line looks like, right? So you could have gone long right. Nope, you can't. Sorry, I didn't get into the result tool over here. It would have been no trade in here. That's it. That's how the morning worked out. Right. So it's 112. So let's just go over this one more time. On the morning session, we're up 23 on the NQ, 25 on the Russell, 11 on gold, and 35 on the ES. That put us at 787.5 on the morning session. Today it took a minute in a trade to get to $1,000 with 10 contracts. It took a total of 24 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're up $1,862 with one contract. All right. I'm trading 2 contracts. 10 contracts. Sorry, I'm trading 10 contracts. Today's the second day. So we're up $931 with one contract in the morning session. Okay. It didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work? It has to work. I'll go through it again with you in a minute. Okay. I'll go through it again with you in just a minute here. So on the year now, we've got our goal every day, 93 out of 93 possible days that I've traded. We've gone 107 trading days for me since the last day that I had a non-green day, and 502 trading days for me since last time I had a red day. So it's over 2 years since my last red day. All right, so if you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. No credit cards required for the trial. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill out the registration page. You do that. Everything you need. All right, so Bart, let's do this. Go to go to trade rules. mytradingiq.com, trade rules. Click on this. Tell me when you've done that. Okay, just follow along and tell me when you've done that. Because I'm all booked up with meetings. And I'm going on vacation again. Never had a vacation. Kind of like it. Click on this. When you click on that, this is going to pop up. Yours is going to be read only. In the upper right hand corner over here, there'll be the word copy. You have to click on the word copy. Okay. Let me go save this. Let me go save this one right now. All right, let me save that.
You can name it whatever you want. I always save it
Yep.
as today's date. So I remember the last time I copied and created a new.
Yep.
Yep.
That's all you have to do. Click on this, like I just did. All right, it's going to bring up this chart. Now this chart, the price is off of, it's not in view on here, but just double left click on price like that. The gold is
Plus you're on the wrong month.
Contract here. The gold's on the wrong contract there, so let me go fix that. GC
Q.
There it is. Okay.
Everything else is the right month.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and you know what I just realized? The one that I'm working on is my backup copy. It's copy 1. That's what I'm working on. That's why it's not updating on this one. All right, but anyway. Now it will. All right. So when you click on that link, this is what's going to pop up. All right here, I'll delete this right now. And I'll go here and click on this. And what I just created, the Q contract, that's what's going to pop up. It's going to say copy in the upper right hand corner. click on the word copy, and then it'll prompt you to save it. It'll give you the opportunity to save it as whatever name you want. It'll actually put the word copy at the end of it, kind of like this did right here. It'll put the word copy at the end of it. You can rename it to whatever you want. You don't have to name it that. But that's all you have to do, right? And this is actually the Russell on a 19 range. I'm going to bump that down to a 9 range because that's what I'm actually using in the room right now. That's all you have to do, right? TradingView makes it really easy. Okay.
And once you've done that, you can start looking for trading opportunities.
Right away. Which is what I'm going to do right now. Start looking for trading opportunities. And you know what? I'm going to hit the record button because I want to make sure that my audio and yours, Dwayne, if you say something, I want to make sure that your audio is good too. So say something.
I'll say something. Michael's about to do a little bit of live trading here on the TradingView platform. So pay attention and don't hesitate to ask questions. Your questions are never an interruption. They're the reason we do what we do. So ask away.
Yes, we encourage the questions. All right, so I'll even do that again in the recording that I'm making right now. If you need to refresh your charts, whatever you want your charts to look just like mine, then all you need to do is go out here to mytradingiq.com, trade rules. Right, click on trade rules. This one right here is 4 charts. This one right here is just 2 charts. All right, if you just want to have 2 charts, this is the S on a 19 range. You probably want to put that on a 7 range. And this is the NQ exclamation point. So that's going to be the leading NQ contract. It's on a 47 range. This is all you need. If you have access to the indicators, this chart is going to open up just like this, right? This is with 2 charts. That's this link right here, essential users. And anything above essential, if you click on this one, it's going to open up this right here. All right, it's got 4 charts. It's got all the indicators that you need to have indicating. Everything is on there for you.
And as you can see on this chart, the NQ has the actual month. You need the actual month to place a trade on whatever platform you're using. You can't use a continuous contract.
Yeah. You can't. You gotta have the actual contract.
Yep.
Right. So again, you go here to mytradingiq.com, click on trade rules, and choose whichever one of these applies to you. If you have basic, then you click this. I think this is just an ES chart.
James asked, my TV only has ranges 1, 7, 10, 25, and 100. Can I get more special ranges?
Yes. Let me show you how you do that, James. You go up here. Like you see, I got all these up here, but you probably just have one thing up there, maybe. All right.
Drop it down.
Click on the drop down, click add custom interval like that. Then just go in here, choose range, and add whatever range. Like I don't think I have a 43 range. Oh, I guess I do. I think I have a 41 range. There you go. I don't have a 41 range. So I can click add, and it's going to add a 41 range into my list. Now, you see how I have all these listed up here like this? If you want to have them listed up there like that, click on this. And like my 41 range that I just created is not up there. If I put a star next to it like that, suddenly up there.
There it is.
That's all you have to do. Okay.
James, if you need any additional help with that, hit me up in Telegram and I'll help you.
And if you want to get rid of anything that's up here, like, you know, if I'm not using the 27 range, for instance, I'll get rid of that. Just uncheck it. The 41 range, I'm not using that. I'll uncheck it. I believe I have a 43 range. I'll get rid of the 43 range. I'm not going to use that. The 53 range, I'm not going to use that. I must have done this 100 times. I was just searching for random ranges to create those up there. But that's all I have to do. Okay, James. And this was for the single chart, right? So if you go here through TIQ, mytradingiq.com trade rules. This is for basic users with the single chart. Actually, with the single chart, I have it on a 10 range like this because if you're a basic user, you don't get custom range bars. You have 1, 10, 100, and 1,000. Those are the range bars you get. So I did this on the 10 range for you. If you're a basic user, okay.
You're welcome,
but if
James.
you're a basic user, if you're a basic user, you probably want to upgrade at some point. Okay, let me get rid of all these extra things I got going in here because I really don't need to have all that extra overhead. All right, There you go. So now we can start trading again. While I was doing all that, there was a trade here that I wouldn't have taken anyway.
How about the Russell?
There's one retracing.
No, we missed that one.
Yeah, well, it was from way over here. It didn't actually go into the oversold right here, so we didn't really get anything there. Where it came out of the oversold here to where it went up. This, if it would have gone into the oversold, that would have been a good spot right there. If it would have hit the oversold, but it didn't. Right in here, though, the ES has got something sort of coming together.
So now we need it to, we need the blue trigger on the Russell to come all the way down into oversold, making a complete cycle from overbought to oversold. And Michael might just draw fibs on that move up the Russell just had, and that will show the 50% level where a down close, if we get into the oversold, might make a good place for an entry to go long.
Yeah, it'll be pretty close right here. On the down close, it's going to close right about here. Yeah. I think it's a 9 range. Okay. So it'll close right about there, and it should put it into the oversold. So you could, I mean, you can be aggressive and take it there, or you could wait for the conservative trade. And we'll see what happens with it, but I think it's going to end up being like right here, right? Behind that bar is 0.8, so you're going to be looking at 0.9 right there. I don't know. Be looking at an entry at 0.8, and the midpoint is right here at 0.4. So, well, it's a possibility. It's not something I don't think I'm going to do aggressive. I think I'm going to leave the aggressive one off on that. Gold over here. I drew this in earlier. About a good spot for that to retrace to. You see it retraced exactly to that. And so if you did the conservative trade on that, that worked out really well. But now you're looking at, well, just eyeballing it from here to here. You would be looking somewhere right in here for a pullback. Oops, that's not a very good line. Somewhere right in there for a pullback. Okay, just doing an estimation. I guess mine was a little low. Be looking right about there. Pullback right now. Okay. MyTradingIQ.com. MyTradingIQ.com. Partner. MyTradingIQ. It's right here. Here, I'll pay here for you so you can just copy it, okay? Okay, my friend. There it is. I'll put it in there. I'll put it in the other chat box too, okay? So you can just copy it. Or click on it in the other chat box. But mytradingiq.com.
Okay, we need that Russell to give us a down close.
Yep. Come on, still waiting on that. The gold's stretched out just a little bit, so I moved that up appropriately. And the NQ is now gone from here to here. So that makes your levels go from there to there. Okay, so this is where you're looking for it to pull back, and it's not doing it. It's already made it run up, so you're going to have to do another one. It's going to go from here up to wherever it goes. My gold's stretched out a little bit more. Keep stretching. The Russell still hasn't done anything for us, and well, it's 1:25, so we have 5 minutes left. You find it, Bart? MyTradingIQ.com. MyTradingIQ. And James, were you able to get that straightened out to add up whatever you want up here? Again, if you were to go out to there, you're going to have...
He said he said it was perfect. You got it.
Okay. I thought he might have been talking to you because you had said you were going to help him.
No. He said he's got it. He's
good.
He's cooking the gas, whatever that means.
All right.
I prefer charcoal.
All right. So right here, this was the spot right here on the S to go aggressive right there. All right. It's kind of like to go aggressive now, but you can go conservative if you want. Conservative means you wait for the up close. Okay. But the aggressive entry would have been right here at 87.25, maybe 87.5. Okay. And now you have the conservative entry, which is a full bar later. You're at 89.25. Now you might want to let that pull back just a hair because that'll put your stop down here below the midpoint. Okay. I didn't get the aggressive. I didn't get the aggressive and I'm running out of time. So I'm going with this. It should go up above the prior swing high, which happens to be the high of the day right here. And if you look above the high of the day, see where it wants to go? Way up here, 95, and then all the way up here at 98. And what did I have in here? I drew this 2 hours ago. Right here, I should have just taken some profit on that, but I drew this 2 hours ago, that 95.50, and I wasn't looking at the numbers then, but the numbers support that right now. Right, the numbers in the DOM. So I would kind of almost be surprised if it's a make it. Yep, we're gonna break even on that one. Yes, on that one right there. And here right now, Dwayne, we're getting down there right now. You see, we haven't gotten into the oversold yet. So this bar could work out for us right now on the Russell. Could be the aggressive short. So, yep. So what you do on this, they put window always on top.
I like the way that trigger's leaning to the right. Like, see, it comes.
Yeah. 8.0 down to 7.0 right now is where the bar is going to close. Right. This is where you would be buying. It's 7.0. So that's a limit order. That's not a buy stop limit order. That's just a regular limit order. I'm saying if it goes down here, I want to go long. Like, that's not the kind of thing we normally do. Normally look for it to come out and we have a buy stop limit order up there. Right? You say if it comes out and it starts moving in the right direction, then I want to go long. What I'm doing right here is if it gives us a down close and it happens to be right there, I want to aggressively be long on the pullback. That's what that's saying. Okay. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I know if we get a down close on this bar, it's going to put us into the oversold. And I know if we're in the oversold right here at the midpoint, that's where I want to be trading. Okay. I should have done this one. I would have had better than a break even on this one if I'd have done that over here. But wasn't watching. And same thing over here. Actually, when it went into the oversold, it was way up here. So this is looking on the gold is a conservative trade. If it comes out of the oversold right now, it'd be a conservative trade on the gold. And I'm running out of time.
James asked how to get familiar with the DOM. He's never actually used one. My recommendation would be to go to, we have a public channel in Telegram called TV Trades, I think it is, or it's called, TIQ Trades.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of videos in there about using the DOM and a lot of instructions. Guys, if you're on the trial, you got to make sure you get hooked up on Telegram. Valerie sends you the instructions because you're going to miss a lot if you don't.
Yes, there's a lot of simple stuff out there. Like, I'll show you what Dwayne's talking about right now. He's talking about this TIQ videos. And in here, there's a lot of videos of different things, how to set up the DOMs and stuff like that. We just started this April 10th. And there's some pretty good videos in there about how to use things and how to do things. And that gold, if you guys were waiting there on that gold for the up close, that was a great trade. It went right up to the prior swing high. I didn't have anything ready there. And right here, we're not getting the down close on this Russell. I took the order off because it wasn't happening. And now it's 1:30, so we got to wrap it up anyway. But that didn't happen here on the Russell. This totally happened here on the gold, and we ended up with a break even over here on the S and nothing on the NQ. All right. Bart, how do you save it? When you click on copy, it prompts you to save it. It changes the name for you and it prompts you to save it. Once you've made a change in it, then this little blue save is gonna highlight up here. All right. You can click on save up there like that. Once you've made a change in there, like if I draw anything in here, then I can save it like that. Okay.
Now you might be thinking, well, boo, we didn't get to see an actual trade to completion today, but you learned an even more important lesson. Because this is rules-based trading, you have to be patient and wait for the proper setup. Otherwise, you just roll in the dice. And that's why you've blown up so many accounts in the past. Gambling, it's not what we do.
No. There was a nice trade there on the gold. I just didn't have it on.
You just didn't.
There was one here on the yes. If I'd have been aggressive, could have gotten more out of that than the break even. And over here, we didn't get into the oversold on the Russell. The Russell never happened, and nothing happened on the NQ either. So that's it. Right. With that, let me go back here and say, if you haven't taken a free trial with us, then go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out. Down at the bottom, make sure you give us a TradeView login ID. Okay, give us a TradeView login ID down there. And that is it, guys. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Wait, if you are ready.
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
So let me do this and do this. And hopefully today, can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Looks
Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $1,000 with 10 contracts on.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we're going to pick up where we left off with the alerts recap. Now, if you missed the beginning, we've already gone through almost all the markets one by one, okay? And if you weren't tuned in at the beginning, my feelings are a little hurt. But the good news is, about 30 minutes after I sign off, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you can watch the whole thing in its entirety. Now, all of our members and trial members had not only the logic, well, they had the CTA targets 5 minutes before the market opened. The logic alerts come out around the clock. So this was the opening candle last night, and it opened at, we'll call it 3407, and it ran up 7 points to the target at $700 per contract traded. And that one candle right there. And you were ready to go because you had the target 5 minutes ahead of the open. You're above the BBC, you got blue and climbing, you're good to go, man. So when we hit resistance, the market's going to go look for support. That's how markets work. The pullback holds more often than not, but this time we traded through, and then we pulled back, and the pullback held. So that gave us another leg to the downside. And then right here, the black step line, crossed red and falling. When that happens, we expect a retracement to the BBC, and that's what we got. And the pullback held. Then we dropped to red and falling. When red and falling gets directly below price, it can act as support. And it did. So we got a little bounce. Went back to the BBC one more time. The pullback held. And then in one fell swoop, boom. We came down to the target, which was based off this low from yesterday, market structure. And we hit the weekly trading zone at 3367/68. We even spiked it a little bit, filling the window I drew in yesterday during the live broadcast. And then buyers came in at this area right here. Okay, now that was the 10 o'clock candle. We had some positive 10 o'clock news. Bounced us up to the BBC. We're almost there, and it held, it held, it held. Do we know that it's going to hold this time? No. We do not know what's going to happen next in the market. But we do know that the pullback holds more often than not. Like it did here, like it did here. But eventually it will trade through, like it did here. But then the pullback held. See? What an incredible guiding light. So we're so close to the BBC, that may be as close as we get. But if we start to drop, keep in mind red and falling is directly below price. So is there room in there to get off a trade? Yeah, I would let price get to 33.73 and trade it to, no, let it get to 74 and then trade it to 73, just to be really conservative. But, I mean, you do what you want to do. That's just what I would do. Okay. Alrighty then. Last but not least, silver. Here's where silver opened last night. Blue and climbing was directly above price. That tells us it's probably going to turn to red and falling, and it did. See, bullish on the way up, bearish on the way down. Took us right through the zone and the BBC. And we missed hitting the target on the short side by just a few pennies. The good news is it only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day with silver. This candle opened at 34.39 and it put in a low at 34.31. That's $400 per contract traded. Support, it's always going to send the market looking for resistance. We consolidated at the BBC for hours. And then there's this gap here. I don't know if that's a data server issue or if it happened in real time. Here, let me test this. I'll just go to 2 minutes, then I'll go back to 30 minutes. Now, check your trading view charts and you'll see if that's a real gap or not. Either way, we hit the zone and found resistance. We're trying to overcome the zone right now. If we do, make sure you're aware of this right here. Potential resistance at 34.82. Potential resistance at 34.90. 34.94. And then 34.98. Okay. Now, if price can't break through this zone, see how the step line is crossed? So price could come down and maybe this time the pullback doesn't hold. So nice short window would be right there. That would be 34.39 down to 34.36. $150 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that's $1,500. Okay. All right. Now, even though we've covered them, we'll look real quick at the ES, the Dow. Now, we went over all these in great detail, so if you want to watch the video later on YouTube, you can. The Dow's still trying to get to the next weekly zone overhead. Russell, it's still hung up at the bullish cross from last Thursday. This is Tuesday. This is Monday. This is Friday. And the NQ topped out at the bearish cross created on Thursday. Now, it's been that way since the beginning of the broadcast. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. At least the first time up. Now, this is the second time up, so maybe we break through. Then you got potential resistance there, 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 and then you're at the highest weekly zone for the whole week. And it's only Tuesday. I think this thing is going to fold, but I could be wrong. So, in Q, previous bearish cross, see, ran into resistance. It's still trying to overcome it, but the step line is crossing. I think that might be the high of the day for the NQ, or at least for now. I think we're going to go into pullback mode back to the BBC. Crude, we opened, dropped to the zone, support, sent us up to the target, back to the BBC, back to the target. Now, quite often when we trade through a long target like this, or a short target, on the retracement, that target will actually become support. Problem is, blue and climbing is directly above price. So that's potential resistance. I suspect even if price goes up in tags, blue and climbing, we'll still get a retracement back to the BBC. That's my thoughts. And gold, we hit the long target, and we already just covered that. And I just covered that. So one last look at the daily. Remember, this faulty, well, it was actual news, but the market, right after the market opened on the night of the 29th, price ran up and just as quickly ran back down. Okay. And so that's the high of that candle is 6,008. Today's high so far, 59.91. So we got a little ways to go, but that's definitely potential resistance right there at that high. Okay. That's the importance. I talk about this at the beginning of every daily broadcast. Learning to read the chart. So that doesn't mean you know what's going to happen next. It means you know what the most likely high probability thing is. Okay. So use those logic alerts for that purpose. Yeah, you can trade them, but make sure you learn how to read the chart. Because this morning I posted alert number 19,803, I believe. So we now have less than 200 logic alerts before we hit that big round number at 20,000. And something's going to change. I don't know what. I'm accepting feedback from anyone. I wish you'd do this, or I wish you'd do that. So feel free to hit me up in Telegram. I'll consider any suggestions. And when we hit 20,000, I'll let you know what we're going to do. Okay. If you want to become a member, and I don't know why you wouldn't, go to mytradingiq.com. Watch the videos, read the content, and when you're ready, send an email to support@cfrn.net. And just tell us you want to become a member. Valerie will send you an email that explains everything involved with becoming a passport holder, all the benefits, and a link you can click to seal the deal. At the top of the list, you're going to get 2 hours of live training in an interactive environment every trading day. That's live trades in live markets with real money. And an explanation of every trade taken. And we don't cover up the outcome. If it stops out, it stops out. If it's break even, we tell you. You see it. It happens right before your eyes. And you've got your own charts running, so you know nobody's pulling your leg. Okay? And you should be asking every question that pops into your head. It's rules-based methodology, so you're going to run out of questions at some point. Along with 2 hours of group training every trading day, you also get private one-on-one mentoring. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, they're fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you'll get the weekly trading zones. And once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. You'll be invited to join us for the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you're going to get the golden key that opens all the private channels we have in Telegram. In fact, one of those channels is the members-only workshop channel. Every Thursday night when we finish the workshop, we upload the video to that private channel, and we put a little caption below it, kind of covering the highlights of what we talked about during that workshop. There's hundreds of them. No, you do not need to watch them all. But you can scroll through, and when you see a workshop that piques your interest, you can watch it at your leisure anytime. I'm telling you, it's everything a trader needs, all under one roof at one low price. It's a good deal. I checked. All right, let's wrap it up for today with our good word for the day. Out with the old and in with the new. Mark 2:22. No one puts new wine into old wineskins. Now, if you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain. As a new creation, you're no longer controlled by your old behavior, but by your relationship with Christ. You may have been given a new uniform at work when they rebranded and remodeled the business, but if your sullen attitude remains the same, then it's like putting new wine into old wineskin. Jesus says we're bound to fail because the new wine bursts the wineskins, and the wineskins are ruined. But don't we do the same when it comes to our Christian walk? The new wine of honesty at work poured into the old wineskin of cutting corners. The new wine of unconditional love poured into the old wineskin of hatred for the family 2 doors down the street. The new wine of worship poured into the old wineskin of idolizing money, power, music, or the latest video game. The new wine of Bible study poured into the old wineskin of gotta go Pop-Tart for breakfast busyness. The new wine of humility poured into the old wineskin of conceit. The new wine of forgiveness poured into the old wineskin of bitterness. The new wine of others first poured into the old wineskin of selfish ambition. The new wine of joy poured into the old wineskin of jealousy and factions. The new wine of peace poured into the old wineskin of discord. If any of this sounds familiar, it's time to ditch the old wineskin and let God make you a powerful, new, clean vessel. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.